Hi, it is me, and it feels like it's been forever. Um, I thought I would do a video with this precious little one here. This is Leah. Oh, and there's Luna, of course. If you guys watch my videos, you know she is always peeking her head in, hanging out with me. And, um, I have been in this place recently where I have really started appreciating this little girl more. Um, have you ever been in that place where it's like you're always thrilled with what's coming out, what sculpts are coming out, what new dolls there are, what new opportunities to paint or to collect. And sometimes those really precious treasures that we already have kind of fall to the wayside. Zoe, come say hi. Zoe, come say hi, Zoe. So here is this sweet girl. I love her so much. So I was talking about how, we get so distracted by the new and upcoming and all the cute faces that we see. And I think we often forget about what we have. And she is one of those for me. She is so amazing, you guys. And I remember when I got her, it was really special because I was admiring her from her artist, which is Mini by Manouk. And I remember seeing her show work in progress pictures and so forth. And I was very tempted, but she was snagged up very quickly, as you can imagine. And I was pretty sad about it because at the time, the artist was moving, I can't remember what country, but she was from another country but living in the US, and then she was moving back to the country she was from. And it was clear through her personal messages and things like that she wouldn't be creating for a while. I didn't know if there was going to be any more of this sculpt Leah available. And so I thought, I had lost my chance, but I kind of just honestly thought to myself it was just another one that I thought was adorable, that I didn't even really lose out on her because I didn't attempt to get her. It was just one of those things. That's what I kind of chalked it up as. But then I randomly came across a video on YouTube, and it was the person who had purchased her, and they, after I think it was maybe a few months, they had to adopt her out and sell her because, for whatever reason, I know it was really hard on her, and even through our discussions, it was really difficult to let her go because she was really special to her. So I think it was probably just one of those sales that is the right thing to do, but we don't want to do it kind of thing. So anyway, I've been trying to teach myself to really appreciate this little one. It can be overwhelming to really give attention to each of the dolls in your collection, especially if you have multiple. That is something that happens to the best of us. It's a really challenging thing. I think the Reborn hobby is best fitted for very small collections, but it's hard to have a small collection. But the nature of what we're collecting is so special and unique, each doll, each piece of work, that each one of those really deserves all that special attention and all of that, right? So it is really hard when you have a larger collection. You can kind of get yourself into a pickle with that. And yeah, so, I love her, you guys. She's so special. Aren't these shoes adorable? These are what is leading me to talk about the topic that is in my description of this video. And I will do that and just kind of tell you a story of, let me get this little nipple in. One sec. I just want to make sure it goes in okay. This is like a really fat nipple. Okay. So anyway, how I came to think about the topic in my description is this. So I saw a post, and it was from another artist and collector, and they were, selling some kits and some things like that. And I saw two things in particular I was interested in. we were messaging, and then we found out we lived literally minutes away from each other. That never happens. I was so surprised. And I don't live in an area that's like common. It was just, I don't know, it was just kind of cool. So we were chatting, and she had mentioned, hey, I have a lot of stuff and, you know, Reborn painting supplies and things like that. If you want to come just take a look and, like, you know, see what you want. So I did that, and I, you know, came out with some things like these shoes, which were really cute, these little boots, winter boots, and you know, some kits and supplies. And I was asking her, you know, why she was getting rid of all of it. She had mentioned that she was getting out of the hobby, and I felt really sad about that, especially because I was able to see some of her work. She was a phenomenal rooter. She was a mono rooter and had such a talent for it. It was unbelievable. I got to see her, one of her dolls rooted in person. And I was just looking at her space and how neat it was. And, you know, I was curious why she was leaving. And so she had told me her specific reasons. And I told her the reason I was curious to know was because I was seeing a lot of that. So my question is, you know, why do you think a lot of people are leaving the Reborn hobby? And I know there are, you know, a lot of different factors. Some people are leaving because the market is so bad. So like, for example, artists are deciding, hey, I'm getting out of this because it is costing me so much in terms of now the taxes I have to pay with all of the, you know, online transactions. I'm not making as much. It's harder to sell. It's more stressful. I think some are leaving because there is always these ebbs and flows of, you know, behaviors that we don't appreciate in the Reborn community that can really leave a reverberating effect. You know, there's lots of scamming going on, and I think it really hurts people on deep levels because, you know, if you're an artist, people are making thousands of dollars by scamming people and not sending them anything when you're working your butt off, and then you're hardly making anything, and you're giving them what they expect. On top of that, there are a lot of people that are you know, purchasing some of the factory pre-painted copy kits and knockoffs and things like that that are fitting a need, and it's a hard thing to combat. And I think that's part of it too. And I think there's also an element of getting too ensnared into personal relationships and those kind of combusting and becoming really volatile and dramatic. Gosh, what else is there? You know, the whole nature of being addicted in this hobby, and, you know, the stress of it, just, you know, from one person's perspective. You know, it's hard not to want so many of the babies that come out, and being able to afford the collection you want, feeling the pressure of, you know, high end versus, you know, mid-level versus budget type of dolls, I guess is the way we categorize them. You know, some people feel that they don't get enough attention on the post and the pictures they share, and that's a big part of this hobby, is to, you know, share it with other collectors and, you know, get a little bit of recognition for the cuteness of each of your dolls in your collection. And some people, you know, feel that they don't get that attention and it hurts their feelings. I've seen a lot of posts like that in Facebook where it seems to be almost a rant that just kind of blurts out, where someone says, you know, I support everyone's pictures, I like people's pictures, I comment, but then when I post something, nobody pays attention. I feel like my dolls aren't good enough. I feel like I don't fit in here. You know, those kind of things are, you know, really touchy, right? So I think those are all reasons that people tend to leave. But I think it has to be such a difficult decision, because this hobby, once it snags you, my friends, it has you by the neck, okay? You are in it. You're in it for good. And for something to, you know, take that away has to be pretty big. And I want to say it's just all of those things to me kind of fall under an umbrella, and I would call that umbrella overwhelmedness, if that's even a word. Is that a word, overwhelmedness? Because all of those factors I described, which could lead to someone leaving the hobby, kind of fall into that category of being overwhelmed. Like, this is a very overwhelming hobby. And we think about this hobby, whether we're collectors or artists, and, you know, heaven forbid both, like me and so many others, right? Like, it's almost double time. It's like we're, you know, expecting twins because we're hit from both sides of the hobby. We're collectors and we're artists. So all of that is just intensely overwhelming because you're always thinking about finances, thinking about your collection, thinking about, you know, the friends that you made in this hobby, sharing the dolls. You think about consequences for purchases. You think about mistakes that you make and impulses that you make, and you think about all of the accessories or clothing that you purchase that is really not that easy to get, you know, rid of. So when you want to kind of say, get some more money and recoup some of the money that you spent, and maybe get new things, or just, you know, collect that money for yourself and for your family, recouping the cost of accessories and clothes is not very easy. So now the dolls aren't even as easy. It used to be pretty standard that you could get the same price that you purchased for a Reborn doll. If that was a pretty fair and equitable price that would have been reasonable to most, and the doll is in really good condition, you would most likely get what you put into it. So I think this hobby became kind of like a hobby of a revolving collection for many, and in ways that's kind of neat, right? Because you can get different dolls and experience them and then let them go on to someone else, not really lose that much money, and voila, you bring someone else into your collection. Now people are holding a little bit tighter, and their decisions on buying it are a little bit more strategic because we are in a downward turning economy. It is tough for everybody. Everybody is feeling an impact because even if somebody has more of an affluent lifestyle than someone else, they are used to spending a certain amount on all of the things that make their world go round, and that includes all of us. So it's going to have a more devastating impact on those that we're already struggling, but it impacts us all. We're all experiencing it. We all have a hit to our dispendable income. So because of that, you know, this is not the most favorable hobby to be in. Let me tell you, if someone said, hey, would you recommend this hobby? I would say run the other way, because there's hardly any way for you to really try to balance this hobby. It's so emotional. It's so exciting. Every day there's something new coming out. There's so many artists, so many techniques, so many variations of versions of dolls. It's a lot. So if you're coming into this right now, I mean, it's a tough one to navigate. So now I think people are holding on to what they have, or making really, really deliberate choices on the dolls that they get, and it's just not the way it was before. And you're lucky if you get, you know, I guess more than half of what you paid for your doll in some circumstances. So that's really troubling too. And there's kind of a dark cloud over the hobby, and I don't know if it's because of the things we're experiencing overall as a society, or if it's has its own set of, you know, devious circumstances within the hobby, but I kind of tend to think it's both. And all I can say to that is this. With all that said, if you're still in it and you're still in it for the long haul, I say just try to enjoy some of those treasures that you have, because I know I was missing out on how amazing little Leah here was when I was focused so much on what's the newest, what's the best, what kits should I paint, you know, what do I want to do here? What do I want to do here? Getting excited for a new doll in my collection or this, that, and the other. And when it comes down to it, like, she's probably legit one of my absolute go-tos. I couldn't even imagine parting with her. And I tried. At one point, I was looking at how much money I could, you know, have by selling her. And I had someone who was, you know, interested, but they needed some time to kind of build that money up. And then I just realized I don't think I could part with her. I've had some that I parted with that I kind of sort of miss here and there, but I've never been like devastated. Let me know in the comments below if that's ever happened to you, because I've heard of it and it's so sad. I've heard when people sell a doll and it just devastates them, but I've heard like really great stories of them getting their dolls back. That happens on Facebook a lot, so I always clap when I hear that. It's like, I mean, everything has to fall into place for that to happen. Imagine you sell a doll, you regret it. Maybe you message that buyer and say, hey, I'm starting to regret this. I really miss her or him. You know, will you think of me if you want to resell? And then everything has to fall into place, right? So that's kind of the neat story when that happens. But for her, I really think I would be kind of devastated. I'm not kidding you. She's so special. And, you know, she was completely created by one artist. And to me, that is magnificent. Like, I mean, I purchased her from her inception by this artist, the artist's clay work, you know, the silicone work that she did, her painting work, her rooting work. It's almost like this artist was like a surrogate mother, you know, that brought me this baby, and now she's mine. And I think it's a beautiful thing. And I do adore her. She's so unique. I mean, her little face, I just love everything about her. She's really special. And sometimes I can get technical and I can focus on things that are really specific, like, oh, this baby, you know, this is my ultimate checklist for a doll. And this little girl right here doesn't have everything, right, that would be on my checklist. But I've had a doll, a silicone doll, where everything was on my checklist with this doll. Everything. Eyes were open, super newborn look, painted, realistic, painted, wet looking hair, open eyes, all of it, right? And he was amazing. He fooled so many people. And that was the thing. I wanted like ultimate realism. This would fool anybody. This baby was incredible. But you know what? He had everything on my checklist, but I ended up selling him. For some reason, he wasn't, I appreciated his art so much, but like he wasn't screaming keeper to me. And I had him for a long time before I decided to sell him, you know? But anyway, I guess my point is sometimes they just grab your heartstrings and you don't know why. And this little girl is that for me. She like really amazes me, and she's fantastic. So I love her to pieces. She's really great. And I wanted to share her with all of you, and these little boots because it reminded me of my topic. And, you know, I think it's so sad that people are leaving this hobby. Only if it's for, well, I was going to say only if it's for kind of negative reasons, but I don't know. I think overall it's just sad. It's just sad because it kind of is negative if someone decides to leave, right? Like something happened or they became too overwhelmed and they got themselves into too much of a mess, or somebody hurt them, or they had a bad transaction, or et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, that's just what I've been thinking about. I see a lot of people saying that they're leaving the hobby these days, and you know, that's tough. That's a tough thing, but we're still here, right? We're still here and hanging out with each other, and that's good. But it's something to think about. Let me know if you have friends or if even yourself is someone who considered leaving and why, if you don't mind sharing that. I'm really curious about this. And I'm going to be back with some more videos. I actually have some ideas for series that I want to do. I'm kind of waiting until my channel gets to the bare minimum of 1,000 so that I can really engage and start you know, having my videos shared out a little bit more and doing a really cool series that I want to share with you. But until then, I will have some videos sprinkled in here and there, and I really appreciate you watching. This one is a little long, but I hope that you followed along and I was making some kind of sense. And I will be back soon. Leah says goodbye. She is just such an angel. I love her. Isn't she amazing? Again, the artist of this doll, from imagination to the finished product, is Minnie by Manouk. You can find her on Facebook. She has beautiful sculpts, the most amazing silicone that you have ever felt. It's like marshmallow and memory foam combined. And as you can see, her painting is incredible. The realism, the hair. I mean, she sculpted this little girl and she painted her and rooted her, you know, she made her from scratch. I think that's something that, oh man, that's an undeniable talent that I could only wish to have someday. So there she is. Thank you so much for watching, and please hang out again by subscribing and making sure that the notification bell is colored in so that when a video does come up, you get a notification for that. And hope to see you guys soon. Bye.